name is Kat King, and I am the creator, producer, director, writer of a project called Glass Stars. It's a sci-fi series set in Seattle in 2152, and it is about essentially it asks the question: what if a woman with schizophrenia built this digital paradise, and it became humanity's last hope for survival? And so the project is based on a book that I wrote and published back in 2021. And then I also moved it into a pilot script and I submitted it to a bunch of different festivals and it came back with 10 or 11 different awards. So I was like, I guess this thing has legs. And it's based and inspired by my personal lived experience with treatment resistant schizophrenia. I am a disabled Army veteran and I've been trying to find an outlet for, dealing with this illness the last over half of my adult life. And so that's kind of what led me to decide to put it into like a sci-fi context. As a total nerd growing up, I love Star Trek. I grew up with Isaac Asimov, and some of my favorite stories of all time are science fiction. And I just feel like it's a really good genre for exploring controversial topics and turning over leaves that we don't necessarily do mainstream in society. And so that's kind of what led me to decide to go forward with actually putting together a live hybridized show, a table reading for this project with a cast and crew. And so I went ahead and I cast it. And so today we're joined by Ashley Johnson, who's playing the role of Ava Strayer. And welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Awesome. And then Ashley, can you just tell us where you're joining us from today?
Yeah, so I'm actually in Decatur, Georgia. So it's about 15 minutes outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And I think I'm the only castmate that's not on the West Coast right now, but I was
I
on the
think
West Coast,
so.
right?
We have I think Erica might be in New York. She kind of goes back and forth here and there as well. But we have a few people who are on the East Coast, but they're like an upstate New York area. So but yes, I believe you are the only cast member, I think. So yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, which is awesome. I'm a huge fan of bringing people in from all over the country. I just love linking people together from coast to coast. And so I really appreciate you like joining the project and staying patient with us while we work on funding. It's been a real productive last 6 months, I have to say. Like we are so close to meeting our fundraising goal. We have locked in, and I just want to let you know already, actually while we're on today, that we actually did lock in our venue for the event. We also locked in our accommodations for the entire cast and crew, so that everybody is going to have their own accommodations, their own lodging, and you'll all be taken care of. So nobody has to like share rooms or anything. I was like, last time we planned our this event, we were like going to bring everybody in, but we could only afford to put in a few people with their own single room. So now we have a better deal. So I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And then we also have our location for the after party is all set up. It's all going to be at Hyatt House. So
Ooh,
wherever you're staying for the night is where we're going to be partying it up after the show. And
hey.
it's going to be awesome. It's within 2 minutes of walking distance of the Seattle Center area. So it's right there by the Space Needle. It's right in the heart of Seattle.
No,
So I wanted to,
I was so excited when I got the email because one thing I have to let everyone know is that Kat gives details. I mean,
yeah,
and that's something that, as an actor, I just feel like anyone in this industry, details are key. Like you need to know what's going on and when it's going on. And when I got that email, like the list, I was like, oh, okay, she's not playing these past.
yeah,
I'm like,
I
these past six
appreciate that.
months,
Yeah.
I was like, she is out there just really being passionate about the project and I can't wait to see it all come together, especially with the technology and everything. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it.
I'm really excited to share the app. The Perceptor app is probably the most exciting part of this whole show. I mean, I put together this augmented reality walkthrough scavenger hunt type of experience. I'm calling it Shard Quest, and it'll be, narratively structured around the show, but it might have its own sort of mini storyline to it. But it'll be centered around the pilot. And so what I would love to do is sort of just talk a little bit about where you come from to us from, because you have a really unique background. You play a certain type of character, and in Glass Stars, you're going to play very opposite of that. So
It's true.
let's talk about like who you are first and where you coming to us from.
Right. So I mean, I think it's funny because I initially auditioned for one part, but when I read the breakdown, and I have to thank you for actually, being open to diversity and not necessarily just typecasting. Because I remember when I read the breakdown for Avalon, the breakdown, she was red hair. And like let's just be honest, right? Most of the time red hair is gonna definitely be more Caucasian or someone or
Yeah.
someone along those lines. So and I really actually wanted that part. And I was like, okay, well, you get in where you fit in. All the characters are well rounded. I love the human story that they're coming from in sci-fi. And for me, that's always important with sci-fi because, to be honest with you, on my personal end, I'm not a huge sci-fi end because sometimes the story is overshadowed by just everything that's going on. And the
Yeah,
best
all that
movies,
action.
yeah, all those movies, the best like disaster and sci-fi movies have a great human story to it. And I saw where it was going, and I thought it was really interesting in terms of the different worlds and what if there was another world, at the same time as having Earth and Mars, that kind of thing, with just different worlds happening at the same time and being able to travel back and forth as you see different things that are shifting right now in the here and now. But looking at Ava, yeah, she's more military. Now I could be military, I guess.
Oh, for
I can
sure.
be.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
you
I can.
definitely command that presence. You
Right.
definitely have that
I can.
commanding presence for sure.
Exactly. I have played a detective before, but yeah, so I was excited about that, and I'm not going to give anything away with the story,
No
but
worries.
knowing with her and Faraday, so I love that whole aspect. So I was really excited, and I think the dynamic between her and her sister, to
Yeah.
see where that's
These
gonna
are
go.
these sisters are they're a really interesting couple of characters because for me they're very similar to a an amalgamation of my relationship with my older sister. My older sister and I didn't always get along. We had just very opposing personalities, and I was very outgoing and she was very introverted. And so that's sort of the dynamic that's at play here between Ava and Naomi. And I think that we have a real opportunity to show a real complexity and like multifaceted that women can really be um, a lot of different types of things and not just one type of person or
Oh
personality
yeah.
or what we call a type, I guess. So yeah, so tell me a little bit about the last role that you just did right now is on Tubi, and tell us a little bit about that project.
Right. So it's called 7 Miles from Forever. And I'm one of the supporting characters to the lead. But the funny thing about it is the character, she knows what's going on. Right. Because I'm like, I don't want to give that away either. But let's just say she keeps the situation. She knows what's going on. And the funny thing was when they had the screening front for it, people when I first came on were like, oh, she's the hater. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
the
yeah.
vibe. And then when the situation develops, everyone was like, "Yeah, yeah, we knew it. We knew it. She was right." So it was fun. And the thing about it was, I was actually shooting that film as the same time as Evil for Evil, which was completely opposite. Evil for Evil, I'm wearing a wig in it. I'm
Yeah,
a
yeah. I
mother.
saw that
I'm
wig too. I
completely
was like,
different. I don't know how they got
nice.
my hair under it, but they did it. And so it was good because it was completely a different vibe. So it was kind of like a nice break to go from crying scenes and just a lot of drama to being lighter and just sassy. So those are the last
Yeah,
two projects that just dropped.
it's just nice as an actor, and I started off as an actor. I think the best directors are those who start off as actors because you we come from that jargon, that background of like perspective of who am I, what do I want, and I think it's really exciting to be able to just play different facets, just those different facets. And playing the opposite has always been fun. I think my type was I always played some kind of teacher character and kooky characters, all kinds of character roles. But I love that you get this opportunity to really just try different things and just have fun with that.
Exactly. It's been really exciting because I've been in Georgia now about 3 years, and it's interesting the range of characters that I get have gotten brought in versus before. Before it was kind of standard. I mean, as an actor, you type, your brand, and so
Yeah.
until that one thing really hits, you just you go with it. It's not a big deal. And I've seen like I'm like, okay, so today I'm a mother with the two kids, and then today I'm a detective over here, and then today I might be a leader of the military with this another secret going on there. I mean, and I
Yeah.
enjoy that because it pushes you. It really does pushes you. But my
Yeah,
hats off
Ava
to you
definitely
for.
Ava holds a lot of secrets, and I think that I mean Eleanor between Eleanor and Ava, they probably hold more of the secrets than anybody else does in at least the first season of the show that's
Mhm.
planned. And I think it's a great opportunity, again, another opportunity to just see her play spy and really see her like
Yes.
watch what that looks like for her because she's who am I really? Like which person is the real Ava in the end? She's gonna ask herself that throughout the series. I think for Naomi was very much the direct combat role. She was out there like in the field directly, whereas Ava played more of the clandestine role of the spy and the intelligence operations on the background. So there is that nature of her to not be fully trustworthy, and so for people to not know necessarily what her motivations are, if she's even really still on Eleanor's side in the end, because these Eleanor basically adopted these girls, Naomi and Ava, and at the end of the war. And so if you the book is great. I always tell you, if everybody wants to know anything else that's going to happen at all, read the books. The books are out. They actually, the third book, Extra P, just dropped on the 29th of April. It's on Amazon now. So if you want to know what's going to happen in Glass Stars, you can get a whole lowdown by just reading the books. They're out. They're already out and available. But it'll tell you a little bit about, just not to spoil it too much, because of course I want people to read.
Right.
But but just to give you an idea, like Ava definitely is harboring a secret, and it's a big one for the family, because this story is very much about family,
Mhm.
and it's about mothers and daughters, it's about sisters, it's about sons and mothers, and even that, because Faraday is Eleanor's son with Henry, who was her husband before during the war, who died from cancer. And Faraday doesn't know something about himself that Ava
Mhm.
even knows. So like Ava's got lots of secrets. And I just know that Ashley,
Yes.
based on what your history of the parts you play, the role, I think you just love to unpack that. Can you tell me a little bit about your siblings? Do you have siblings? Are you an only child?
I wish I was. No,
Oh,
I
no.
some I mean, I think I felt like I was. Yeah, so I do have an older brother. He's 7 years older than me. So
Oh,
we actually, in
wow.
my opinion, we actually felt like we were the only child at different point because right, he had 7 years
Yeah.
without me, and then of course when he went away, I still felt like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's really interesting. To be honest, full disclosure, we don't have a relationship at all at this
Mm.
point in our lives, just given things that have happened. And so for me, just for my training and my technique, those things actually are very helpful to be able to work it out and figure things out and sometimes give resolution through art for your own relationships. So I
Yeah.
am looking to bringing that in terms of what Ava is dealing with, of course, with her own sister
Yeah.
and the
It's
situation.
really important to recognize that sometimes there aren't exactly the reconciliations that we hope for in our real lives. I know that for me, with my older sister, and I've come a long way. We didn't speak for a long time, maybe 12 years. And so now we have a friendship now, but I couldn't have imagined that 10 years ago. And even then, I have another older sibling that I have virtually no relationship with. And I don't know, we don't really know why that is. It's just everybody seems to be just living their own lives. And it's very difficult to really make time and space for each other at this point, when everyone's got kids, or just your lives are just really happening all around you, and you can really only focus on what's right in front of you. And I think COVID really taught a lot of people to really kind of zero in on what's most important, hone in on just kind of keeping close to what's closest around you. And I think that happened in my family a little bit. Everybody kind of constricted a little bit.
That's
And
amazing. So on your end, COVID brought you together because COVID was that interesting thing for even just families and relationships where you either had to bring people together or tear them apart. Like
yeah,
and it really shouldn't be like that because everything that was going on really was a personal decision,
yeah,
to be vaccinated, to not be vaccinated,
yep, yep.
whether you feel comfortable doing this or that. But it's interesting that that actually helped your family.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
amazing.
It was wild, because, like I said, I didn't. I up in 2020. There's no way you could. I could have bet $1 million that my sister would never speak to me again. Like, we just. I don't even know why we really fell out. It was just we just are different people. I'm very kind of a. I'm very just a outgoing person, and she's just very, very introverted. And I have become more introverted because of my illness, and I think maybe that's maybe that's made us more copacetic with each other, because I'm a little bit
Mm.
more chilled, more grounded than I was when we were in high school. And I felt like she was always trying to. She always felt I was like a threat to her, even though we never really
Oh,
compete.
mhm.
I'm gay. I was gay. I was out when I was 14, and so it wasn't like we were competing about boys or anything. I
Right.
always thought, what's going on? Why do you hate me? But I just think it's a matter of just feeling like a double standard was being like enacted or thrust upon us by our parents at times. And but as adults, we just recognize now that we are just kind of who we are. We just kind of accept
Right.
each other, and we go with it. And I have a relationship with my niece, which is great, and I love that. I've been very lucky. But on the other hand of it is just sometimes you have to accept that sometimes it just can't be. I mean, my father's relationship with his dad, I think it's an example of there was an attempt at reconciliation, but when there was no interest on one side, you can't force it.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
we just have to each make our own choices and accept and maybe respect that, even if it's hurtful, it hurts us. I would rather have honesty.
Oh,
To be
yes.
honest, I would just always choose honesty over kindness, even,
Yes. Yes. All the
you know,
time. I
all the
am all
time.
about the truth. I'm like,
Yep.
I am not here for anything but that. So I get it.
Yeah, and we're gonna hit really hard with glass stars because glass stars philosophically we are saying a lot. Glass stars is saying
Mhm.
that the only way to any kind of real freedom for everybody is for everyone to be free, and no one is going to be free until we're all free. And so,
Mhm.
identity is a huge part of glass stars. So that's why the diversity was really important here, and to be able to be very flexible and open. For me, these many of these characters had very didn't have a set face, didn't have a set you know skin complexion or anything. It was just I wanted to bring authentic stories and truths. So you have a story that you can endow your character with that's going to help us because it's going to lend itself credence to what we're saying about the future, which is that everybody is needed. We need everybody.
Mhm.
And diversity isn't just this it's just not this woke mind virus, this whole
Right.
idea about
Right.
empathy, it's what do you mean? Empathy is a built-in human component. Babies are born with empathy. It's something that we're
Mhm.
equipped with. This idea of that we're building empathy. No, we're not. We're returning to who we truly were always. And so that's what Glass Stars aims to be about. So to that end, I guess the next question really is for your vision of Ava and where we take her as we go through, because I envision the pilot being shot probably next summer, if, assuming that we have the money and time, which I think we're really close. So we'll probably be on track next summer to shoot. What would your vision be for bringing Ava to life in terms of really sharing her character out with the world and giving her life?
I feel as though with her, like we talked about, there's a lot of secrets with her. So I feel that you don't want to give them all away, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you have to have the insight and have the looks just for the purpose of storytelling to understand where she's coming from. And I think that it's going to be a lot of behind the eyes, a lot of what is she really thinking versus what she's saying, and what does she know versus what she feels she can show. And so I
right,
think that there's going to be a lot of the yin and yang going on inside. And I think just in terms of just my own human nature. See, it's so funny because with acting, you learn like core and mass, like
right, right,
what you're really feeling versus what you're really showing. And for
right,
me, I've always discovered I've always been my core and my mass match all the time. Like how I'm feeling is
right.
when I'm expressing a lot more of the
Yeah, I'm
time.
pretty
Like I'm not
much this
afraid
way
to
all
be
the
like,
time. You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
I'm like, this is a bad day, guys. This is a bad
yeah,
day. And I don't want to hide that from you.
right, right.
But then that makes everything very, one dynamic, right? So I just think that in terms of her character is going to be a lot of core and masking. And I think that the relationship between her and her sister, because off the bat, like seeing, one of the first scenes, they're just like at each other. And so I think that the character development is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Is that gonna make, Ava more vulnerable? Like what is the dynamic there? So I'm willing to play with everything. I'm still figuring it out because I know there's going to be more adjustments. I know you're gonna toss a rewrite in there probably, or some
We
more
might do one
adjustments.
slight rewrite here or there, but we're almost pretty much locked in. I think for at least for this pilot script has come a long way already, and so I don't want to overmix the batter, as it were. You know what I mean? I think we have
Right.
a good thing going. I think whatever we do, and I'll be totally honest, a lot of the time when I've shot in the past, my projects in the past, we have a script in place, and then we get in behind the camera, and something else magical happens, and we use the improvised takes 90% of the time anyway. So a lot of times it's going to jump out at us while we're kind of working through organically with the dialogue. There's little surprises, moments are going to surprise us, and then we're going to take those moments and we're going to run with them. I think I was gonna also really mention that religion plays a really important role in Glass Stars because of my background. I was raised by a Pentecostal, like in a Pentecostal family, and so my family believed in speaking in tongues and all of that stuff. And it's a really was a really transformative period of my life when my parents divorced because divorce is like a no, you don't divorce, like there is no divorce in a Christian
Right.
home. And so it really shook my foundations growing up. How has religion played a role or not played a role in your life and upbringing and who you are today?
That's such a like it's such a great question, and it's so layered. Because I was baptized as a
Mm.
baptized as a Catholic,
Oh,
and
wow.
then yeah, so that's why I was Catholic, and then my family moved a little bit more towards Christianity,
Mm-mm.
and then kind of like you, my parents separated, and then we weren't really at church as much as we were before, and that just kind of was that thing where, of course, I always believe in there's a higher being, there's a God, but it wasn't like every weekend at church and this is what we're doing.
Oh,
I
wow.
think sometimes what plays a part for me with what I notice with religion, which I'm personally, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be like, "Yep." You have those people that they claim they're believers, but then they do the complete opposite. And
Mm-hmm.
you can be completely someone who maybe not is not in church every single weekend or constantly professing their faith, but live that way.
Right.
And for myself, I felt that for the most part, I've always lived a path in a faithful way, but without necessarily opening up a Bible or turning to it, right? And
Right.
I would say since about 2017, I've been more on like the conscious awakening,
Mm.
in terms of just really figuring out spirituality and playing that part to where everything is happening now. And I think for myself, of course, there's a higher being, and that goes without saying, but also knowing that that power also lies within yourself. And I think that that's something that for myself has been just really important, because it all, at the end of the day, it all does tie into the Bible, the
Right.
conscious awakening and just the power and the kingdom of heaven lies within you. It all ties in, but it's just the way that it's used. I don't like when people weaponize religion. You know what I
Agree.
mean? I
Yeah.
don't like, I don't like when people weaponize it. You see it a lot of times, that kind of thing. But
Yeah, it's all around us,
it's
unfortunately, and it's like the
exactly.
ongoing holy war, I think ultimately is still kind of being played out now all around us even now, right now. It's true.
Yeah, you can definitely see there's this, and it's the strangest thing. It's like you talk to a lot of different people, and they can't express it, but they're like the air feels different or this feels different.
Mhm.
There's like this bigger thing that's happening, and a lot of people don't know what it is, but I definitely agree with you. It's like kind of a spiritual warfare thing happening right now. And that's
Yeah.
why it's important just to, know yourself, stand in your ground, understand yourself within faith, and then you can just really move the I don't want to say the way you should, but just move
To do,
forward
like, the next
and
right thing, with that whatever that might mean, sort of in the
exactly.
Bhagavad Gita sort of a way. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, but I've read the Bhagavad Gita, and it just was very very eye-opening for me. I don't profess to really any particular religion, or belief system. I was, of course, like I said, I was raised in a Protestant Christian faith. My father was raised Catholic, but he ran far, far away from Catholicism very early on in life because his family essentially abandoned him. And so I think growing up basically as an orphan, he just he didn't really trust any
Right.
institution of religion.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like that rebel without a cause kind of character, very similar to Jimmy Dean there. And but yeah, he became saved, and then all he ever wanted to do was to run a little church, and that's what he's doing now in the mountains in Southern California. So my father got his grand wish, and so the Reverend Neil Chandler character in Glass Stars represents sort of an amalgamation of my father, a composite of my father, who just kind of wanted to be left alone in the desert or wherever he was to preach and to tend his flock. And so we have these different characters who represent the religious fervor and the counterpoint to transhumanism, which is united
Mm-hmm.
against transhumanism, led by the stranger or Joe Danley. And it's a easy spoiler to spoil for anybody because it's in the book, so you can't get away. I can't like run from that forever. But the stranger is played by Plum Brun, and she will be that main antagonist character. And Ava, you're going to be tangling a lot more with her henchman, who's Charlie Aiken. So you'll have a little bit more tets with this other kind of fool character who's running around, doesn't know what he is, doesn't know who he is, and you get to sort of play puppeteer a little bit with this guy. But the idea that there's this religious component to this story is really, I think it's really groundbreaking in the sense that I haven't really seen that in science fiction since maybe Battlestar Galactica. But I think nowadays, where we're heading into an uncharted territory with entertainment, where we really need to be risk taking, to just take the risk, say what needs to be said. Are there any themes that really speak to you from Glass Stars that you see so far that you really are really interested in unpacking, aside from just the espionage and kind of like the spycraft of all of it? Anything thematically that really is jumping at you that you're really interested in?
I feel like I'm like, you kind of tapped on it. You know, but I think that
Yeah.
in just in the world that we live in with the way technology has gone, it has removed some of humanity
Yeah.
from a lot of, you know, especially with people who don't know a world without the cell phone, or they don't know the world without the internet. They don't know that. And so unfortunately there's some, like you said, the empathy factor is lacking. It may not be, it's not intentional, but they just don't know. And so it's interesting for me with the overall theme with Glass Stars is that there's still, no matter how much technology is there, no matter what's happening in what's world, the humanity is the driving point. That is
Hmm.
never lost throughout the story. And I think that that is the most important thing, especially like we talked about earlier with sci-fi movies. Sometimes it gets jumbled up. It's like, wait, why am I watching this? Am I just watching that to explode? You know, that is the most important thing. And if you can reach people through something that's comfortable, something that people feel, oh, I don't really feel like I'm tuning in to know that I should be on the right side of morality. You know, I'm tuning in and I'm learning that, yeah, we can have the conversation and not have to necessarily use technology for it. I think that all those different little things within the general story is going to help on a whole. And so
Yeah.
that's what I personally took away when I first had read it, was just that there's so much more human elements to it that to me like supersede the fun technology part of it. And I
Yeah,
think
it's
that
really it's complicated for these characters are all living in a time when they're the spiral, this subterranean complex that everybody lives in at this time. They tried to create the sanctuary, and they started off on this equitable journey, and then over time this gentrification process still happened, and they're trying to figure out these best laid plans, all of our dreams. It sort of represents that performative greenwashing, what we think that the corporate world keeps trying to do for us as minority communities,
right.
throw us a bone here and there. And we sort of kind of also do it to ourselves. I've noticed in our, within LGBTQIA plus nonprofit organizations, and even in nonprofits that seek to fight for equitable access for BIPOC communities, there's still sometimes inaccessibility to those. They become institutions in and of themselves that become inaccessible
Mhm.
to us.
Right.
And therefore, there's hypocrisy. And I cannot abide hypocrisy, even within
Oh
my
no.
own community,
Yeah.
because when you're asking for the world to treat you the same as everybody else, it's not a good look to then go set this example of, well, now we're
Hmm.
going to model the system that we abhor and hate and doesn't treat us equitably. We're going to turn it on our own people, and then, again, exact our, I kind of like, not revenge, but it's just like, now that I'm on top, I'm going to turn around and, do the same thing to other people. And I just don't
Hmm.
believe in that. So that's why I wrote Glass Stars. I wanted people to see that even in my community, I see a lack of access and equity happening. And so it was just to even shine a light on ourselves and say, look, I know I'm not a perfect person. And even as a white person, even though I have a Jewish background, or even though I'm gay, I still am a white facing person in this world, which gives me a slight bit of privilege. And if I have a single moment of time to use that platform, it's going to be to make sure that other people come with me and can get to that same place too. And that's coming alongside. And that's what even as a Christian, I was raised to come alongside my sisters and brothers, and to walk together on this journey, to come home to ourselves and what is love. And for me, this series is really about unconditional love. What does that
Hmm.
mean? What does it mean to the Christian characters, this Reverend? What does love mean to Neil? What does love mean for him because he lost his wife to the Shard? The Shard is the nickname that we have for the Earth 2 simulation that all these people are living in. And there's a huge subsection of the Spiral's inhabitants who've actually jettisoned, they've committed suicide essentially, and jettisoned their physical corporeal body to live as digital avatars inside the
Hmm.
simulation permanently. And over the last 100 years, there's been this sort of this manifestation. It's a transcendental sort of a state that these avatars are existing in as sort of light forms, and they're calling it an afterlife. They call it like a heaven-like state, and they call it psyche. And so in the story of Glass Stars, there's a huge controversy about this state because people are
Right.
like, is that real? Are they just
Hmm.
killing themselves for a delusion? Like, what is going on? So Neil's wife, Phaedra, many years back, did this. She jettisoned her body and she joined the Shard permanently as a post-human avatar, and she now lives inside that afterlife state. And so my question for you is, if you could, and what people experience a psyche very differently. Everybody sort of experiences it very similar to like a perfect moment in time. It could be a memory, your favorite memory from your life, or it could be your greatest desire, of course, something that makes you the happiest. So my question is for you, Ashley, if you could live in a perfect moment in time forever, what would that moment look like for you?
Ooh, I'm like, no pressure. The perfect
Good question. I
moment,
asked Brooke. I had
man.
Brooke on last week, and I loved her answer. She gave me such a great answer. I can't
Oh,
wait.
I should have watched and been like, oh yeah, I should have been
Yeah,
prepared
you
for
should check it
that
out.
one.
It's up on
Oh
YouTube.
man. Ooh, let's
Mm.
see. Was she quick?
She was
She was
pretty
quick?
quick. Yeah, she was quick
Really?
with it. She had something right away. I was like, good for you,
Oh,
girl.
I don't know. I have to think about it because I'm not someone that necessarily like has always lived in the past. To be honest with you, I've always been five going on 50.
Right,
Um,
right. Me too.
and then right and then I've also felt like I've been here before. Like I was born with the gray hair. I have a
Right,
widow's
right.
peak. So I feel like I've
Yes.
done this a few times.
Yeah.
So
That's how
to
I felt. I felt very
you
much
feel
like
the
I'd
same
been
way.
here before.
I'm perfect. And then
That's
there are
okay.
a
What
few.
about a dream that you have about maybe your future, where you would like to be?
I'm like, we ain't got no time.
Oh, there's
But
so many.
yeah,
We could be here all day just talking about our dreams for the future.
of course. No, I mean, because two different things, like, and the Oscar goes to, we could live in that moment
Oh
for
yeah.
eternity, right? But also on the other end, I would love to see, I've always wanted to start a nonprofit,
Mm,
and I have the name of it. It's called New Journey Foundation. I've always wanted to start that to really end homelessness. That's something that's always been close to my heart. It's something that I personally have, experienced. I know what it's like.
yes.
And
Same.
it's something, and there's something that, especially in 2025, as far as I'm concerned, shouldn't exist anywhere, especially in the
Agreed.
US. You know what I mean? I
Agreed.
don't get it. I don't
Absolutely.
understand it.
No.
So for me, I would love to see that moment happen, just that it has officially happened. All the plans and everything that I've thought about for it has really, it's just been brought to light, and it's actually helping people. Because I would do it different. The nonprofit, I would definitely do it different where everyone really would benefit from it. With the New Journey Foundation, it would be something where if you have students that are in college and they need to finish up credits for further school to get their degree, they'd be able to earn those credits by teaching those that need help in the program. And, if they want to be social workers, so everyone is basically on their path to their new journey and helping one another. Or you have fashion students to earn credits in their actual schools. They would design clothes for women to go back into the workforce. So I would tie it all
Awesome.
together, that kind of a thing, and not just, hey, you're here from 5 a.m. and then you got to leave by this time and then you come back. No, it's a full
Right.
rehabilitation
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love
program.
that.
You know what I mean?
I
Like
love
Prince
that.
Prince William has the homewords, and I watched his program and I was like, that's genius. I have some of the same ideas, but they're, it's different. It's the UK, but he had a lot of ideas with having these people having a place to build rehabilitation across the board. And I think not just for those people who may have fallen out because of, substance abuse or whatever may be, but just anything can happen in life where that
Right.
happens, right? So it's, for me, it's not even just about substance abuse, why someone's there. It could be any reason why they're there, but I want to make sure that you don't have to come back here. And I think
Right.
that if it's a situation where everyone can benefit, where you have students that they're able to get college credits by designing clothes for women that need to go back into the workforce or need to get teaching credits so they can help the teachers, or if they have children and to watch them, if all that could come to play, I would love that. And so that I'm
Yeah,
like,
we need to
you know,
bring back the cooperative. You know, the
yeah.
cooperative model is really. I mean, even in Christian communities, like we grew up in like a cooperative farming cooperative, basically, where we everybody like grew vegetables for the entire community, and produce and everything like that, and then just kind of swapped. So any services or skills that any individual has, they can
Yes.
lend to that community. I was thinking sort of like a almost like a Ronald McDonald House meets like almost like a shelter, like a
Mhm.
shelter. But I want them to be able to have their own. You've got to be able to have that own your own space and
Mhm.
sort of like Habitat for Humanity. How can we build homes and then keep people in those homes?
Right.
Because I'm so sick and tired of the vouchers. The voucher system is not working, and not in LA. It's not, and
Oh my goodness. Let's not even talk about LA and that homeless
vouchers are
population.
just it's a nice
It is
idea, but in
insane.
practicality, nobody wants to take these people in. Mostly,
Right.
most motel and hotel owners aren't accepting those vouchers. Let's be honest,
Mhm.
especially
Right.
when they know that these people are coming off the street who are not taking care of themselves, hygiene wise, all of that stuff. That self care component has to be in place for those people to be considered human and like
Right.
off the street,
Mhm.
and having schizophrenia. I mean, I've been homeless. I know what it's like, but I feel like I just want to help people. I actually really want to help people with schizophrenia. Like I actually want to
Mhm.
get those 127,000 other veterans out there that have schizophrenia. That's such a small subsection of our population. Why can't we take care of them?
Right.
What's stopping us? Well,
Right.
if it's money, then I'll raise all them. I will do whatever it takes. I will strip naked if I need
Right.
to get the money out there so that these people can get off the street, especially these veterans, because there's just no reason why anybody who
Oh,
signs on that
yeah.
dotted line to give up everything, all of their freedoms, basically your whole life, because even when you get
Right.
out of the military, you're still expected to keep all of your secrets and be a good loyal patriot and represent the army proudly and honorably. So even when we're out of
You
the
served
service, I
your
never leave
country.
you
You
know
know, you served is that that's always been beyond me because I'm like, that doesn't
like
even make sense. Like you served your country, you're willing to go stand and fight and possibly risk your life. And many of us would not do it. Regardless of
yeah.
there's some people that of course go into the military because they're thinking they maybe need some structure or it's easier in terms of funding like their college education. And I get that. But at the end of the day, there's still that part of that person that knows there's a chance they could be deployed, that
Oh
knows,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so for me, I'm like, no, you should definitely come back and have like the red carpet thrown at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. I
Well,
don't
I
get
mean,
it.
and just even to join the military, I was 17 and you can't go to basic training until you're 18. So I had to like pre-train for a year. So I was like you're pre-indoctrinated into a set of a value system. And that is super key. And it really did shape who I am and how I behave. And so that's why it's like real, you talk about detail. Yeah, it's really important to be transparent and to have details and to let everybody know what is going on so that if there is a problem, we can work together to fix that. Because I truly believe that the only way I'm not a lead from in the military, they teach you to lead from the front. But I've learned that when you're in the front, you can't see what's going on behind you. And so that's why I was like, I come alongside my people and I can see what's going on when I'm right here. You're saying shoulder to shoulder. I can see you. I can see what's going on. We can scan and survey the field together, and we can move together more effectively. And that's always been the truth for me. So as a leader, I just feel like I'm a servant and my job is to make sure that everybody knows that I'm here to serve you. So
Hmm.
my actors, my crew, my production team, everybody should feel heard and should feel that their wishes are respected. And that's the really important thing about leadership is that my master's thesis was all about servant leadership. Just what can I do for you today? What can I do and how can I help advance the mission? And that's the philosophy here is to get this money together, to tell this story, to show people that, first of all, people with schizophrenia can create complex works of art and can complete things and can lead projects and can actually
Hmm.
do those things. And I'd already proven the thing is, it's funny. I'd already proven this to be true when I shot The Awakening in 2012 for film school and screened it at Warner Brothers to a standing ovation. But I wasn't there for that because of my schizophrenia. So it was
Hmm.
like that's the problem. It was like the where am I going to get stable enough and to get on my 2 feet and a roof over my head long enough and therapy long enough to get the tools in place to get back to the life I knew I had before schizophrenia derailed all of those hopes and dreams.
Hmm.
It was
Right.
just the only way out was through, and that's the enduring message of Last Stars. So Is there anything else you want to talk about while we're on today? Is there anything else you want to share coming up for you, or that you want to? I don't know. Maybe we could share a little bit about. I don't want to give too much about the plot, so but we'll leave
I
it for
know
this.
that's why I was like just like, well, let me not go too far on it. I don't know how
Well, we
much
can talk
you,
a little bit about Glass Stars. We
but
can we can we can talk about the show coming up in January. So let's talk about Glass Stars Live. So Glass Stars Live is a hybridized. It's augmented reality. Basically, it's a table reading. So the cast is coming out. We're flying everybody over and putting everybody up at Hyatt House, and everybody comes out January 11th. I know it's a Sunday, but you know what? Hey, it
we're
worked for
good.
us. I got to go where the venue was
Right.
400. I couldn't like shirk $400 for an entire theater for an entire 8 hour day, an 8 hour, 10
Yeah.
hour booking. That was amazing. I was like, I'll take it. So the theater Puget Sound folks at Seattle Center have just been amazing. So I want to invite everybody out. The tickets are on sale at Eventbrite. Go get them now. We already have over 300 people RSVP'd to this event. Now I'm telling you right now, the theater only seats 195 people.
So
So
what are we
you've
gonna
got it.
do?
We are sold. Basically, we're sold out. So, but
Right.
no one's. We haven't. I haven't seen the ticket sales yet. So
Got
let's
it.
go get them tickets, y'all. If you don't book the tickets now, you haven't actually reserved your seat. If you haven't booked through Eventbrite, if you're on LinkedIn and you've seen the event on LinkedIn and you've RSVP'd there, that's great, and we love the enthusiasm. But it doesn't reserve your seat. You need to go to Eventbrite, and the
Get those tickets.
links are all in the description. It's all there for you below, and about us, all about us. So thank you, Ashley, for your time. I can't wait to see you in the flesh as Ava on stage
I
at Seattle Center.
know. I
It's gonna
know.
be
I'm
so much
so
fun.
excited. I'm so excited to see just
I'm so excited for
that
you guys to get
virtual
to experience
experience.
the
Yeah,
walkthrough
with that.
itself.
Hmm.
The Shard Quest scavenger hunt is real special. I hope that everybody will enjoy it, and you'll get a sense of my lived experience walking through like a day basically in my life, and it'll be really good. So thank you.
Of
And
course.
you have now remind us you have two movies out on both on Tubi.
One's on Amazon, Evil
Oh,
for
one's on Amazon.
Evil,
Okay,
and then Tubi is 7 Miles from Forever.
gotcha.
So yeah, so that's what's going on. I have two other projects. It's kind of like a delay. That's okay. So I'm back on the audition block, as we all know.
Yes.
But it's our journey. It's what we do. It's what we're here for. It's fun. And I just wanted to say overall, like with Glass Stars, you just worked really hard. And really, this is why art is so important, because you have the ability to affect people on such a large scale. Like it's one of the most powerful mediums. And that's why it's frustrating when people just waste time with the medium,
Mm-hmm.
and or if they're not really reading in between the storylines. Like I just saw Sinners with
Oh yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, and there was like two deeper lessons to it, and I was like, I really hope that people see that and
Yeah.
get it. And I feel with Glass Stars that people are going to see it and get it. It's so much about the humanity and where we are and what we can do just to really help each other, uplift each other, and also, and in essence, they're all fighting for survival on
Yeah.
some human level. They're all fighting for survival, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and
It's gonna be
the
fun.
ultimate question at the end of the day is, what are we willing to do for our for the sake of our beliefs? Who am
Hmm.
I? What am I willing? How far am I willing to go? And then the question is, then who does that make me? And am I better than the other person? And
Hmm.
those moral questions of who's right and who's wrong really start to
Yes,
crumble. It
right.
really gets shaken. So I love that about the story, and I hope that everybody else will see that and love it too. And subscribe, like, share, follow, and Ashley, do you have any social media that you'd like us to follow you? Yeah, I'd like to plug, plug, plug.
I don't. I'm probably going to be the only one on here that doesn't.
Good for you.
I live a very simple life, and everyone's always like, "Oh, you need to have it, you need to have it." Okay, fine, but I also enjoy just not having it to a certain
Yeah,
degree.
yeah.
Uh,
It's
so
been quite liberating deleting my Facebook permanently, deleting it. It was so
yes,
satisfying.
yes.
Uh,
Yes, you can always find me on IMDb, but that's not my personal thing. But if you log in and you want to contact me, then you can, of course, reach me like that. But yeah, so I'm not on the social media in the social media world. I do enjoy my little bit of peace, my meditations and
Good for
things
you.
along those lines. But like I told you, I'm like, you can throw me on your page and do whatever. Just let me know what I need to do for you,
No
or what you
worries.
need from me, and I got you. But yeah, personally, I'm
Perfect.
like,
No worries.
no.
Awesome. No, I'm keeping it very simple these days too. I really am just on LinkedIn just to again connect with people and spread this awareness about schizophrenia and creators who have schizophrenia, basically. I'm just trying to show that we do exist. We're out
Right.
here, we're doing it, and we're actually kind of
Mm-hmm.
killing it right now. So but I think it's just we do exist, and we aren't all tragic, deranged serial
Right.
killers or tragic figures.
No.
There are people who are struggling, and my mission is actually to get out there and help those people. So any
Mm-hmm.
of the money that comes out of this project really is to go toward getting those people off the streets and into long-term stability. And I know what that really takes and looks like, and what it requires, because I've lived it.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's where empathy comes in. Empathy comes
Yes.
from living it, and you can't empathize if you haven't lived it. But
Mm-hmm.
we have that sympathy factor, and that's close. That should be close enough to get you to want
Right.
to act, take action to help. But things are complicated in the world. I know everybody is we were all kind of turned inward to try to focus on doing the best we can for ourselves. It is a good and important thing to do. If you can focus on growing your garden and being the best self you can, that's probably the only thing you really can do to affect major change in the world, aside from putting that out there in an artistic medium. So you can put them together, then you
Yeah.
have this beautiful, like, copacetic, cosmetic mass energy that affects a movement. You have an actual change toward real, long-lasting equity. So
Exactly.
that's the
You have to
goal.
know who you are before you're trying to go out honestly and change things in just a very real way. Because if you're all over the place or you don't have a vision, you're gonna have everyone else telling you what it should be. Or you're not
Yeah,
like you're not gonna be strong enough to, and someone thinks a certain way or doesn't think that that should happen because we want to label things. You're like, no, I know who I am. I stand in my power, and this is what I'm gonna do. And you're
right.
doing it.
Exactly.
And that's all that's like for me, when people are like, what's the best advice that you can give? Is just like you define what your level of success is and have a belief in yourself is bigger than anyone else's disbelief. Because when
Yes.
you do, it doesn't matter. When you're thrown these things, you still stay the path, you still keep going. And the
Yeah.
situations that happen, you in the art world, you get to turn them into wins. And how great is that? All that negativity and all that those situations that happen, you get to flip it, because that is what art is. You can make something beautiful and positive from it. So I think Glass Star is
Exactly.
going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited for this, and we are almost halfway through the year already. So we're coming up
No.
on it. I have an interview with Seattle Gay News, so we'll get some exposure from that. And I also have another meeting today with somebody who's also working on a VR software program for people with schizophrenia. Amazing. Her name is Anastasia. She's Ukrainian, and she's from a team that's working on this technology. So if I can bring her out in January to demo that, or show us at the event, I will do that. Absolutely. Y'all can
Hmm.
meet that up, because we need this. I think the biggest hurdle for anything with technology and people with schizophrenia is trust. If people
Hmm.
without schizophrenia are having a hard time trusting technology, imagine what
Right.
people with schizophrenia feel about
Yeah.
technology. One of my longest standing delusions is having a chip in my brain that is where what is generating the voices. So
Right.
like, I don't need any more of that paranoia in my life. Like,
Right. No, it makes sense.
yeah.
We got to know where
So
the technology is coming from, and what's going
there
on with
has to be
it.
this ethical framework for it, and it really
Yes.
scares me that, like, the world's richest person has, like, control over, like, the internet and this chip technology that they're wanting to put in, that they're already putting in people.
Yeah.
So forget about the vaccines and the chips and the vaccine thing, conspiracy theory. We actually have chips going into human beings now that are
Yeah, it's
allowing
crazy.
people with paralysis to speak, and you're thinking that's wonderful, but just hold
Are
up.
your
It's
thoughts
like,
your own?
are your thoughts your own? If you watch the newest Black season episodes, it's gonna rock you're just gonna be like shook already by that. I mean, for me, it's like, if you have schizophrenia, you've always believed that this was already happening. So it's like, what? But the fact is that it's actually really truly becoming a real part of our world is it's not good for my mental health, which is why I've chosen to stay away from social media, especially because of
Hmm.
how triggering it is for my illness. But yeah, but anyway, so I will that's it for us today. Thank you so much for
Okay.
joining. We did it.
Of course. I'm so excited, and thank you for
Amazing.
having me. And I'll see you soon.
Yes, we will see you soon. I'll sign off for everybody. Remember that I will be going live for my next AMA on Sunday, May 11th. We will be answering all, I'm going to be answering all the most honest, real questions about schizophrenia and violence, about my history. I'm only going to speak for myself, of course. But yeah, I'm doing that Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard at Cat King here on live on YouTube. And I'll see you guys around soon. And that's it for the hot shop today. I'll see you
Bye.
next time.
Support Cat. Support us.
Yes, support us. Oh, if you want to give, you want to donate, Give Butter is our fundraising campaign for Glass Stars Live. We're trying to raise about 25K. And if anything you want to give, that would be appreciated. And the links are all in the descriptions. All of Ash's links to her current work available on Amazon and Tubi are also available on the link descriptions below.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. You guys have a good rest of
Bye.
your weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Bye, Cat.
Bye. All right, I'll go ahead.